Hello, dear traveler. Welcome tonight. Before we drift back in time, I'd love for you to share where you're listening from and what time it is there. I'm always amazed at how our small community stretches across the world. So, let me know in the comments, and if you enjoy this journey, a gentle like or share goes a long way. Now, take a breath. Dim the lights. Maybe let a soft fan hum in the background. Tonight, we're traveling to a world that feels both familiar and impossibly distant. The American Wild West of the 1870s. Not the polished one of movies, with clean-shaven cowboys and heroic showdowns, but the real one. Harsh, raw, and untamed. Imagine yourself opening your eyes in this world for the very first time. The good news, you are about to walk through one of history's most legendary frontiers. The bad news, your chances of surviving even a single day are already uncertain. Still, you're here. You feel the weight of history pressing in around you, and the story begins. The first challenge greets you before your eyes are even fully open. The air is heavy, thick with smells that cling to the inside of your nose. Not the gentle earthy scent of pine forests or fresh soil, but something far stronger. The sour odor of unwashed bodies, of damp clothes never fully clean. The sharp sting of animal droppings. A hint of raw sewage carried on the morning chill. Bathing here is rare, almost an indulgence. Some settlers might wash once a month, others endure entire winters without feeling warm water on their skin. Water, you see, is too precious. It is for drinking, for cooking, for survival. Not for washing away dirt. You shift uncomfortably on the straw-filled mattress beneath you. The scratching sensation tells you it is alive with bedbugs. Every joint in your body protests as you sit up, sore and stiff from endless days of labor. Here, life means constant work. There is no weekend, no time off. Your body is the tool that keeps you alive, and already it is beginning to wear down. Your stomach reminds you of its needs. Breakfast waits, but it will not bring variety or comfort. A simple plate of beans, a hard biscuit, and a cup of coffee, if you can call it that. Bitter, boiled into near-burnt blackness, sometimes softened with crushed eggshells or a pinch of salt. Still, it is enough to keep you going. Fresh fruit or green vegetables are luxuries, saved for rare occasions. Many here face scurvy, their gums bleeding, teeth loosening, bodies weak. Meat is eaten when available, but always salted or smoked, its flavor sharp and unforgiving. As you chew slowly, your attention drifts to your clothes. A man might own 2 sets at most, heavy canvas or denim trousers, and a coarse cotton shirt that rubs raw against the skin. A woman's burden is greater still. Layers upon layers, shifts, corsets, petticoats, and dresses that drag through dust and mud. Nothing fits comfortably. Nothing feels clean. The elegant costumes of Hollywood belong to fantasy, not to this world. Here, every stitch is worn thin, and every layer is soaked in sweat. Before you dare step out, you pause. A habit quickly learned. Check your boots. The darkness of night offers hiding places for scorpions, or perhaps a rattlesnake seeking warmth. One careless moment could mean a bite that swells, burns, and leaves you gasping for life. Doctors are far away, medicine scarce, and such a wound often means death. With caution, you slide your feet into your boots and push open the cabin door. The land stretches endlessly before you. Breathtaking, yes, but cruel in its beauty. The morning sun glints across dust and stone, wide plains and distant ridges. There is nowhere to hide from this place. In winter, the cold gnaws at you, seeping through walls and bones alike. In summer, the heat presses down without mercy. Storms rise suddenly, skies that shift from calm to chaos in minutes. Tornadoes, blizzards, floods, all reminders that nature here has no master. The Wild West does not soften itself for you. As you stand in its vastness, you understand. survival here is not promised. It is earned day by day. A short walk brings you toward the town. At first, you expect some comfort, perhaps order. But what greets you is different. The streets are dirt, uneven paths that turn to rivers of mud when it rains, and clouds of choking dust when it is dry. The smell grows stronger, horse manure piled in the open, waste tossed carelessly into alleys. Flies gather in thick clouds, landing on skin and food alike. This is how disease spreads. And disease is everywhere. Cholera, typhoid, smallpox, tuberculosis, each name whispered with fear, each capable of wiping out entire families in weeks. You step carefully past puddles and manure until the saloon comes into view. Not the grand hall of music and laughter seen in films, but a rough room of plank wood and crude tables. Inside, liquor is poured thick, often raw, sometimes poisoned with turpentine or pepper to disguise its burn. One sip too many could leave a man blind. Here, voices rise, tempers flare, and violence brews easily. Fights are not dramatic duels. They are sudden, messy, born of anger and alcohol. And all around, people carry weapons, not for glamour, but because life here demands it. Guns glint on nearly every hip, yet not always for the reasons you think. Weapons here are tools as much as they are protection, needed for hunting game, fending off wolves or cougars, or scaring away rustlers lurking beyond the horizon. But contrary to the myth of endless shootouts, most towns had strict laws. Dodge City, Tombstone, places where sheriffs demanded visitors surrender their firearms upon entering. The legendary gunfight at the OK Corral? It began over men refusing to give up their guns. Quick-draw duels at high noon, so beloved by Hollywood, were rare. Real violence struck suddenly, often in drunken brawls or ambushes from the shadows. Bullets flew not for glory but out of anger, fear, or desperation. Life in the frontier was tense, and a mistake could cost everything. Yet even with rules in place, danger hummed through the streets. Every saloon quarrel carried the chance of turning deadly. And so, as you stand outside watching, you feel the weight of that ever-present risk pressing down like the desert heat. A faded wooden sign creaks in the wind, "Doctor." You step inside, though calling this place a clinic feels generous. The doctor may have no degree, only a handful of books and experience stitched together from trial and error. Tools glint on a rough table, unsterilized, still carrying the dried stains of previous patients. Anesthesia is scarce, maybe whiskey, maybe a few drops of morphine. If your leg is shattered, amputation comes quickly, the saw biting through bone as you bite down on leather. Infection almost always follows, invisible and unstoppable. Women in childbirth face terrible odds. 1 in 4 may not survive the ordeal in these remote places. Dentistry is no kinder, just pliers pulling teeth while screams echo against wooden walls. Mercury, arsenic, or bloodletting might be offered as treatments, often harming more than helping. Here, survival depends less on medicine and more on sheer luck. A small cut, ignored today, might be the wound that ends your life tomorrow. Hunger leads you to a small restaurant, though it is little more than someone's home with extra tables. The air smells of smoke and overcooked vegetables. A slab of salted meat, stringy and tough, is dropped before you. A spoonful of beans, perhaps a potato if the season allows. Fresh greens are rare, usually boiled into mush. There are no standards of cleanliness. Plates may not be washed well, flies drift across bowls, and meat sometimes hides the sour taste of spoilage. Many here endure dysentery or food poisoning, quietly accepted as part of life. As you chew, you overhear murmurs of outlaw gangs, of settlers ambushed along lonely trails, and whispers of conflict with native tribes. Fear travels quickly in these places, carried with every conversation over bitter coffee. You swallow your last bite, your stomach uneasy, and step outside again. The world of the frontier never lets you rest long. Stories of attacks ripple through the town, though they rarely match the truth. While tales of Native American raids are exaggerated, the deeper reality is darker. Settlers push westward, driving tribes from their homelands. Violence flares when families are displaced, when promises are broken, when treaties are shattered. The U.S. Army marches in with rifles, forcing people from their ancestral lands. Tensions rise, and sometimes violence does strike back. But more often, it is settlers who bring destruction. Outlaws, too, stalk the edges of towns. Bands of thieves who steal horses or rob wagons, disappearing into vast stretches of wilderness. Lawmen exist, but often one sheriff must cover hundreds of miles. In their absence, mobs form. A whisper of guilt, an accusation of theft, and the rope is thrown over a tree. There is no trial, no defense, only the weight of fear pressing on every stranger. Curiosity draws you to the general store. Its shelves hold wonders for a frontier family: sacks of flour, jars of preserves, bolts of rough fabric, tobacco, and tools. Yet the prices feel like robbery. A can of peaches might cost the same as a day's wages back east. Transporting goods this far is costly, and settlers pay the price. Money stretches thin, leaving most families with nothing left for comfort. The store is also the post office, though letters arrive weeks or months late, if at all. Newspapers are yellowed, old events read as if they were fresh. Families who left their loved ones behind may never hear from them again. Isolation becomes as heavy as hunger. Loneliness here is thick, driving some to drink, others to despair. As you handle a tin of coffee grounds, you think not of the bitterness inside, but of how fragile connection feels in this far-off land. Outside, the horizon shifts. Clouds gather, thick and dark, stretching across the plains like a curtain being drawn. You feel the wind change. There are no forecasts, no warnings. One moment the day is calm, the next the storm threatens. A wall of rain moves swiftly. In winter, snow buries cabins until doors cannot open. In summer, heat breaks into sudden storms of lightning and thunder that split the sky. Tornadoes twist down without mercy, sweeping away entire towns in moments. Flash floods drown wagon trains, sweeping away wood, livestock, and human lives alike. Drought lingers for years, cracking the soil, turning crops to dust. The frontier sky is never tame. Each cloud carries the reminder that here, survival depends on watching, waiting, and enduring whatever the heavens decide to unleash. You hurry back to your cabin as raindrops strike the earth, heavy and cold. Inside, the roof leaks in thin streams, water pooling into buckets you keep ready. The walls shudder with wind, gaps letting in cold air. There is no real insulation. You crouch near the hearth, grateful for any warmth, though the firewood must be used sparingly. Every log is precious. Water collected in buckets will be tomorrow's drinking supply. Yet it is not clean, drawn from streams where animals drink and waste. Illness spreads easily through such water, invisible and unstoppable. As thunder rolls across the sky, you sit quietly, reflecting on how fragile your world here truly is. The Wild West is not the stage of heroes. It is the stage of survival. And every sound outside reminds you how small you are in its vastness. The storm fades, but darkness arrives quickly. With no electricity, the night is absolute, broken only by candles or oil lamps. Their light flickers weakly, shadows stretching across the walls. Fire is always a danger. One spark, one knocked lamp, and your cabin could become a blaze, leaving nothing but ashes. Entire towns have burned to the ground this way, flames devouring wood faster than any bucket brigade could stop them. You move carefully, conserving light. Each candle stub is precious, each drop of oil measured. The silence is broken only by the creak of wood, the howl of wind. Fear and fatigue mixed together, weighing on your shoulders. The day has ended, but rest comes only cautiously. For even in sleep, this place demands you remain alert. You lower yourself onto your straw mattress, the bugs stirring as you shift. Every muscle aches from the day's labor. Work here is relentless, each sunrise promising only more toil. Farmers till from dawn to dusk, their backs bent, their hands raw. Miners dig deep in the earth, lungs filling with dust, bodies bruised by rock and stone. Ranchers wrestle animals weighing hundreds of pounds, always one misstep away from injury. By their 30s, many are already hunched, their joints worn. The average life here is short, 35 years, perhaps less. As you lie down, exhaustion claims you quickly, though unease never fully leaves. Tomorrow will bring the same hardships again. And yet, somehow, people endure. Morning light filters weakly through the cracks in your cabin walls. Sleep has not eased the ache in your limbs. Your body feels older than it is. But the West waits for no one. You rise, shake out your boots, and step outside into another day. The air is cool, the horizon stretching endlessly. You remember yesterday's struggles, yet curiosity stirs. What if you left? What if you joined the thousands who push further west, toward new settlements and promises of opportunity? A wagon train awaits, perhaps, or the dream of reaching California. The risks are immense, but the pull of the frontier is strong. Today, you will see what travel brings. If you are lucky, you own a horse. To many, such an animal is priceless, both companion and lifeline. But few can afford one. The cost is steep, equal to months of labor. And even then, a horse can be lost to illness or injury, often leaving no option but to end its suffering with a bullet. Saddles are built for function, not comfort. Hours in the saddle leave muscles sore, blisters forming where leather rubs against skin. Horses spook easily, at snakes, at sudden noises, and a fall can leave bones broken. Miles from help, such an accident is often fatal. Still, the horse remains one of the most reliable ways to travel. Without one you walk. Or, if fortunate, you ride in a wagon. Do not imagine smooth rides across rolling fields. Wagons here are jolting, creaking beasts. No springs, no suspension. Every rock and rut rattles through wood and bone alike. Dust chokes the air when it is dry, mud swallows wheels when it rains. Wheels splinter, axles snap, and repairs mean hours of sweaty labor under a harsh sun. Inside, belongings rattle together, clothes, food, perhaps a few keepsakes. Sickness spreads quickly in such cramped spaces. Yet families pile in, children jostling as oxen or mules strain against the load. Each mile feels endless, each day a test of endurance. The dream of a better life pulls them forward, though the trail takes its toll. Imagine joining a wagon train bound for Oregon or California. The journey stretches 2,000 miles, a test of every ounce of strength. Between the 1840s and 1860s, nearly 500,000 people attempted it. 1 in 10 never reached the end. Some called it the nation's longest graveyard. Historians estimate that for every mile of the trail, 10 to 15 graves line the path. Wooden crosses, stone piles, nameless markers. Families burying loved ones, forced to move on as the trail stretched ahead. You ride on, knowing each grave is both a warning and a reminder of what lies at stake. The greatest killer is not violence, but disease. Cholera sweeps through wagon trains like wildfire, carried in water drawn from rivers and streams. One morning a traveler may seem well, by nightfall they are gone, drained by vomiting and fever, buried by the roadside. Dysentery, typhoid, and mountain fever strike just as mercilessly. Children are especially vulnerable, their cries echoing through the night before fading into silence. Medicine is little more than guesswork. Folk remedies, strange tonics, or prayers, none stop the spread. Families march forward, each step shadowed by loss. Every mile becomes heavier, every grave a scar etched into memory. The trail is cut by rivers, wide and unforgiving. Some can be forded at shallow points, but many demand risk. Wagons are caulked to float, though often they tip, spilling people, animals, supplies into rushing currents. Families watch helplessly as possessions vanish beneath the water, as lives are swept away. The Platte, the Columbia, the Snake, names that echo with sorrow. Drownings are common, not only from the river's strength but from desperation to press forward. Every crossing is a gamble, a reminder that here, nature decides who continues and who is left behind. You grip the wagon rail, the water rising around you, heart pounding as the wheels groan in the current. Despite the fearful whispers that spread through campfires, attacks from native tribes are far rarer than most settlers imagine. More often, tribes offer guidance, helping with crossings, trading food, or showing routes through difficult terrain. Yet, tensions remain. Generations of displacement and broken treaties hang heavy. Some encounters end in kindness, others in silence, a wary distance between two worlds forced together. Around the fire, settlers tell exaggerated tales of raids, passing fear from one wagon to the next. But the truth is quieter, more complicated. You fall asleep under the stars, aware that beyond the firelight lies a history deeper and older than the wagons that now roll across it. Your wagon train depends on draft animals, oxen, mules, and horses. They pull with steady strength, but they are living, unpredictable creatures. At night, they must be watched, for wolves prowl in shadows and rustlers eye them greedily. In the day, they can spook, sending wagons tipping, or strike with powerful kicks that shatter bones. If an ox dies, the wagon stalls, families forced to abandon belongings by the roadside. The animals, like the people, face exhaustion and hunger. You find yourself whispering encouragement to them, as though your words might keep them walking through the dust another mile. Without them, your own journey would end quickly. The trail stretches endless. Days blur into one another. Dust rising, wheels creaking, hooves pounding. The horizon never seems closer, and time loses meaning. Nights bring silence so deep it hums in your ears. Families huddle together, but the vastness around them swallows voices. Isolation presses down like a weight, heavier with every mile between you and the world you left behind. Some settlers never see their old families again, letters too slow or lost along the way. The loneliness becomes another test, not of body but of spirit. As stars scatter across the black sky, you feel the ache of distance, both behind and ahead. Violence may be rare, but danger hides in every ordinary step. A child wanders too near a wheel and, in a breath, is crushed beneath it. A woman slips while filling a water bucket, striking her head on rock. An ember jumps from a campfire, sparking into canvas and cloth. With no doctors, no fire brigades, even the smallest accident can unravel lives. Settlers whisper of the cruel irony that death comes not from dramatic battles, but from the smallest, simplest mistakes. Each family becomes cautious, moving slowly, watching carefully, yet knowing luck is as vital as caution. Supplies dwindle faster than expected. Flour runs low, coffee tins rattle empty, sugar is gone. Meals shrink into meager bites of hardtack biscuits and thin strips of salted pork. Fresh food is rare, sometimes bought at staggering prices from passing traders, sometimes hunted if luck is kind. Children cry with hunger, their small hands clutching for crumbs. Adults endure quietly, though their hollow cheeks betray their sacrifice. Hunger makes the air heavy, turning every thought toward food. It is said more fights broke out over rations than over gold or land. Survival, after all, begins with a full stomach. The sun burns without mercy. Dust rises in thick clouds, coating every mouth, every lung. Then, without warning, storms break, lashing rain against canvas, soaking blankets, turning camp into a swamp of mud. Lightning cracks across open plains, terrifying oxen into wild runs. The seasons turn quickly. Early snow may trap families in mountain passes, the cold biting through wool and leather. No one can predict the sky, and every traveler knows nature will not wait or forgive. Each step westward is a gamble against storms that care nothing for human dreams. When darkness falls, campfires flicker in a scattered ring. Families gather close, the night too vast to face alone. The sounds of coyotes echo, sharp against the silence. Some find comfort in songs sung softly, hymns rising like fragile shields against fear. Others sit in silence, staring into flames as if searching for courage. Above, the stars blaze brighter than any city lantern, endless and cold. The beauty is haunting, yet it reminds you how small you are beneath the sky. Here, in this vast wilderness, each night feels like a prayer whispered to survive another day. Even as spirits rise with morning, illness often creeps silently through camp. A cough that lingers, a fever that grows, a stomach that twists with pain. With no doctors, remedies are improvised, herbal teas, whispered cures, sometimes nothing more than hope. The sick are carried in wagons, though the jolting ride worsens their suffering. Death is quiet, sometimes sudden. Graves are dug hurriedly at dawn, simple markers placed before wagons roll onward. Families must leave quickly, their grief pressed into silence. The trail does not stop for mourning. Life here demands forward motion, even when hearts remain behind. Days of open plains stretch before you, endless grass swaying under the wind. The land feels empty, yet alive. Buffalo once roamed in great herds here, though now they are fewer, driven back by hunters. The horizon remains flat, and progress feels invisible. Wagon wheels carve ruts so deep they will remain etched into the earth for centuries. The monotony presses on your spirit, yet at night, the plains sing softly, the wind carrying whispers through the grass, reminding you that even emptiness holds its own voice. You drift into uneasy dreams, rocked by the vastness of the land. Far ahead, the mountains rise. Dark, jagged peaks cut into the horizon, promising both beauty and peril. To reach them means climbing steep trails, rivers rushing down their sides, snow clinging stubbornly even in spring. For settlers, mountains are both a goal and a threat. Wagons splinter on rocks, animals collapse under the strain, and families whisper fears of being trapped in passes by early storms. Yet the sight of them stirs something too, a sense of wonder, a reminder that the land is greater than any hardship. The mountains wait silently, testing those brave enough to approach. At the foot of mountains, rivers roar louder. Some are wide enough to demand ferries, crude rafts guided across at a price. Settlers pool coins, bargaining with ferrymen whose services mean the difference between passage and disaster. Yet ferries are not always safe. Ropes snap, rafts overturn, wagons slip beneath the water. Still, each family steps forward, unwilling to turn back. Children cling to parents, animals panic at the rush, while eyes stay fixed on the far bank, because across it, progress continues. The river takes its toll, but the dream of the West demands the risk. In rare moments, the train halts for rest. Tents rise, fires burn brighter, and songs drift into the night. Some wash clothes in streams, scrubbing away weeks of dust. Others carve messages into wagon boards, recording names in hopes someone might read them if they fall behind. These pauses bring laughter, stories, and fragile joy. But rest is short. The trail demands motion. Always west, always onward. And so, after one night of ease, the camp is packed, fires smothered, and wheels turn again. The rest lingers only as memory, quickly swallowed by the dust of another day. Rumors ripple through camp. Riches buried in rivers and mountains beyond. Men speak with hunger in their eyes, hands twitching with restless greed. Some families dream of leaving the wagon train, chasing fortune on their own. Others shake their heads, fearing the dangers such detours bring. The promise of gold hangs heavy, a lure stronger than fear itself. Yet most know the truth, few strike it rich. For every story of sudden wealth, countless others end in disappointment or death. Still, as campfires glow, whispers of gold stir dreams, giving weary travelers a fragile spark to hold on to. Another grave is dug. This time a young child, fever taking them in the night. The family weeps quietly, then lowers the body into the earth. A wooden cross is raised, simple, unmarked. The wagons must move on. The rhythm of grief on the trail is brutal, relentless. Each death a reminder that survival is uncertain, that fate decides without mercy. You watch as the line of wagons begins to roll again, the fresh mound of dirt left behind, soon just another mark among thousands. The trail is not only a journey, it is a graveyard stretching west. The wilderness is alive. Coyotes howl, their calls echoing eerily through camp. Bears prowl near rivers, drawn by the scent of food. A cougar's shadow is spotted against rocks at dusk. Snakes coil silently under wagon wheels, striking when disturbed. Every animal here is both a marvel and a threat. Settlers carry rifles not only for defense against men, but against the creatures who claim this land as home. At night, you hear rustling beyond the firelight. Every sound reminds you that the frontier belongs not to settlers, but to the wild things that roam it freely. Weeks blur into months. The pace wears everyone thin. Children grow quieter, too tired to play. Adults stumble, eyes sunken, bodies bent under endless strain. Supplies are stretched thinner, every bite of food calculated. Sleep is shallow, broken by cries of the sick, by howling winds, by the constant need for watchmen. The spirit weakens as much as the body. Hope becomes fragile, flickering like the dying light of a lantern. Yet still, the wagons roll westward. Still, feet rise and fall in the dust. For turning back is not an option. Survival demands endurance, no matter how heavy the weight. At last, a new sound, a shout from the lead wagon. In the distance, smoke curls upward, not from wildfire, but from chimneys. A settlement. Small, scattered cabins, yet to weary travelers, it is salvation. Families quicken their pace, eyes alight with relief. Rest awaits, perhaps food, perhaps medicine. Strangers greet you cautiously, yet with the understanding of shared struggle. For all the hardship, the sight of people living, enduring, proves that the dream of settling the West is possible. For one night, you sleep easier, hope resting in your chest like a warm ember. The settlement is no paradise. Cabins leak, food is scarce, and sickness lingers in the air. Work never stops. Fields must be tilled, wood chopped, livestock tended. Yet compared to the trail, it feels steady, grounded. You see men with bent backs, women with tired eyes, children already laboring beside parents. Survival here is not easier, only different. But it offers something the trail does not: roots. A chance to build, to stay, to belong. Even knowing the hardships, many choose to remain. For the promise of the West is not comfort, but permanence. After a night of uneasy rest, you notice the silence. no longer the creak of wheels or the cries of children on the move. Instead, the settlement hums with stillness, broken only by the chop of an axe, the lowing of cattle. Isolation settles around you heavier than before. Here, news arrives slowly, sometimes not at all. Months may pass without word from family left behind. Letters may never come. The silence grows deep, enough to drive some into drink, others into despair. Yet it is part of life here, endured as much as hunger or cold. And yet, even as you settle, your eyes drift west again. Beyond the cabins, the horizon stretches endlessly, mountains rising far away. For many, the journey does not end here. The frontier always calls further, whispering of more land, more promise, more dreams. It is a call that brought you this far, and it may pull you again. The Wild West is not a place of rest. It is a place of constant movement, of enduring struggle. As the sun dips low, painting the sky in fire and gold, you realize the truth. Survival here is never guaranteed, only earned, one day at a time. That single word carried thousands westward. Posters in eastern cities promised acres free for the taking, soil rich and waiting. But when you arrive, you find the truth less generous. The ground is rocky, forests thick, prairies endless but stubborn. Still, the dream of owning land, of planting roots and calling it yours, burns strong. Families mark boundaries with rough stakes, carving out patches of wilderness as home. The air smells of wood smoke and sweat, the sound of axes echoes through trees. Each swing is both labor and hope, shaping the land into something survivable. The first task is always a roof. Cabins rise from rough-hewn logs, not for beauty but for survival. Walls leak wind, roofs sag with rain, yet they stand as protection from storms and wolves. Inside, dirt floors are swept smooth, and cracks are filled with mud. At night, smoke clings thick in the air, fires burning with little ventilation. Families crowd together, warmth shared beneath thin quilts. It is not comfort, but it is shelter. You learn quickly that walls, no matter how thin, mean the difference between enduring and perishing in the wilderness. Fire is life here. It cooks every meal, warms every night, wards off beasts. But it is also danger. Sparks leap from chimneys, igniting dry grass. Entire cabins vanish in minutes when flames take hold. Children are warned never to stray too near, yet accidents still happen. Scarred hands and faces mark those who misstepped. Despite the risk, fire remains constant, its glow a comfort against the vast night. Settlers guard it carefully, carrying embers wrapped in bark when traveling, for to lose fire in the wilderness means starting from nothing. Sometimes, it means death. Life here knows no pause. At dawn, men walk fields, shoulders bent under plows. Women churn butter, mend clothes, tend gardens, care for children. Even the smallest hands are busy, chasing chickens, hauling water, gathering kindling. Idleness is a luxury no one can afford. The West demands effort, and rest is fleeting. Muscles ache, backs stiffen, yet still the work continues. You notice how quickly days pass, blurred by endless motion. The body tires, but the land accepts no excuses. To live here is to labor, and to labor is to survive. The soil looks rich, but it is stubborn. Crops wither in drought, or drown when storms flood the land. Insects descend in swarms, locusts devouring fields in hours. Tools break, seeds fail, animals stray. Each season brings new uncertainty. You watch settlers' faces harden as they pray for rain, for sun, for mercy from skies that seem deaf to their needs. Farming is gamble as much as skill. Some years yield bounty, barns full and tables heavy. Others, families starve while staring at barren earth. The land gives, but only when it chooses. Despite hardship, no one truly survives alone. Neighbors gather to raise barns, to share tools, to help harvest before storms arrive. Illness strikes, and women cross miles to care for one another. Men take shifts guarding herds at night. It is not kindness alone, it is necessity. Life here binds people together, for without community, the wilderness swallows quickly. Around church halls or small schoolhouses, voices gather, fragile but determined. You see it clearly, survival is shared. And in those rare evenings of music or dance, laughter softens the edge of struggle. One morning, a distant whistle cuts across the air. The railroad. Iron tracks snake westward, carrying smoke and steel. For settlers, the sound is both promise and threat. Supplies arrive faster, letters travel quicker, towns grow where tracks are laid. Yet with the rails comes change. New faces, new conflicts, new rules. The wilderness grows smaller as iron spreads across it. Some cheer, others grumble, but none can ignore it. The train's whistle is the song of the future, echoing across valleys, reshaping the West with every passing day. Progress has its shadows. Accidents scatter the rails, boilers bursting, sparks igniting fields, wagons struck at crossings. Workers lay track under brutal conditions, often injured or killed. Camps swell with gamblers and thieves, violence simmering around paydays. For settlers, trains bring goods, but also strangers, sometimes swindlers, sometimes worse. The very iron that promises life also carries danger. And yet, when the whistle sounds, people gather along tracks, staring with awe at the great engines that connect them to worlds once impossibly far away. Towns sprout quickly near tracks or rivers, but law does not arrive as swiftly. Sheriffs are rare, courts rarer still. Justice is often carried out by vigilantes, swift and merciless. Theft is punished with hanging, disputes end with gunfire. Violence becomes spectacle, crowds gathering as warnings are made public. The myth of a noble, orderly frontier is far from truth. In reality, chaos rules. And in the eyes of many settlers, survival is justice enough. You walk through streets where everyone is armed, where trust is thin, and you feel the weight of lawless air pressing heavy. Every town has one, its heart and its hazard. The saloon. Doors swing open to laughter, shouting, the clatter of cards. Inside, whiskey burns throats, piano keys strike uneven notes, and men gamble away wages in moments. Women work the room, some entertainers, others desperate for survival. Fights spark quickly, fists, knives, pistols. The floorboards hold stains that never fade. Yet for all its dangers, the saloon is also escape. A place to forget hunger, to silence loneliness, if only for a night. Its glow spills into streets long after midnight, drawing in the weary and the reckless alike. Alcohol is no gentle comfort here. Much of it is raw, distilled poorly, laced with impurities. A sip numbs, but too much blinds, poisons, kills. Still, men drink, seeking refuge from toil and grief. Drunken fights break teeth, shatter bones, sometimes end lives. Families suffer quietly, children watching fathers stumble home, tempers short and words cruel. Drink is both escape and trap, leaving its mark not only on bodies but on entire towns. And yet, each night, bottles are uncorked again, the cycle repeating beneath the dim glow of oil lamps. Life in the West is harshest for women. They rise before dawn, work until after dark, cooking, sewing, tending fields, raising children, carrying burdens both seen and unseen. Many face childbirth without aid, risking lives with every labor. Some run businesses, others manage farms when men fall ill or depart. Women hold families together, their strength quiet but unyielding. Though history often writes of cowboys and lawmen, It is women who anchor the frontier. Their endurance shapes the very survival of settlements. In their silence and labor, the West truly finds its foundation. For children, the West is both playground and trial. Days are spent gathering wood, hauling water, tending animals. Education is scarce, lessons taught at home or in rough one-room schools. Toys are simple, carved from wood or imagined from scraps. Danger lurks everywhere, snakes in tall grass, disease in the air, rivers swift and unforgiving. Yet childhood persists. Laughter echoes across fields, games played beneath wagon wheels, songs sung by firelight. These small sparks of joy remind families why they endure. The children are not just survivors of the West, they are its future. Amid the hardship, faith offers comfort. Small churches rise from timber, their bells calling voices together. Hymns carry through valleys, prayers whispered over graves, blessings spoken before meals of bread and beans. Faith unites scattered families, giving them strength to face endless uncertainty. Ministers travel miles, carrying scripture in saddlebags, offering words of hope in cabins and fields alike. Even those who doubt find solace in gatherings, the sense of shared belief stronger than loneliness. In the silence of vast plains, faith becomes both shield and anchor, holding spirits steady against despair. Not all sound is labor or sorrow. At night, music rises, fiddles carried across wagons, banjos strummed beside fires. Songs of home, of hope, of dreams yet to come. Voices blend, some strong, others weary, but together they carry warmth. Music softens the sharp edges of life, turning hardship into memory, fear into courage. Children dance in circles, boots thumping softly against dirt. For a few moments, laughter fills the night, and the wilderness feels less cruel. Music becomes its own kind of survival, a reminder that joy, too, has a place on the frontier. Yet joy never stays long. Death walks quietly, always near. A fever in the night, a fall from a horse, a misstep with an axe, all can end life in a heartbeat. Funerals are simple, marked by prayer, by song, by tears quickly dried. Graves scatter across fields, sometimes marked, sometimes lost to grass. Each family carries loss, and each learns to move forward despite it. The shadow of death does not disappear. It is simply lived alongside, accepted as part of the wilderness. Survival here is not guaranteed, and everyone knows it. When illness strikes, settlers turn to local doctors, though the word carries little comfort. Many are untrained, relying on guesswork and outdated practices. Bloodletting, harsh purgatives, crude surgeries done with whiskey for anesthesia. Sometimes treatments heal, other times they harm. Supplies are scarce, bandages reused, instruments rarely sterilized. Despite this, doctors are valued, for they are all that stands between sickness and the grave. Families pay in coin, in goods, or in gratitude. The frontier doctor is both savior and gamble, a reminder of how fragile health remains. Others turn to the land itself. Herbs gathered from fields, bark brewed into teas, poultices pressed against wounds. Native traditions carry knowledge settlers often overlook, remedies rooted in generations of observation. Chamomile eases fever, willow bark dulls pain, sage cleanses wounds. While not every cure works, some prove vital, passed quietly from family to family. In a place where doctors are rare and medicines rarer still, the land becomes healer. And those who learn its secrets find survival in its leaves, roots, and streams. For women, childbirth is the most dangerous frontier of all. Without skilled midwives, many give birth alone, aided only by family. Pain is endured without medicine, silence broken only by cries and whispered prayers. Infection often follows, fevers burning mothers into graves. Infants, too, face fragile beginnings. Many never live past their first year. Each birth is both joy and terror, a gamble between life and death. Families celebrate with tears, knowing the price that may come. In cabins across the West, new life begins in shadows of risk, shaping the next generation at unimaginable cost. And yet, despite all, dreams persist. Around fires, settlers speak of futures they still chase. Fields rich with crops, towns bustling with trade, children growing strong in a land they can call their own. The West is no paradise, no easy promise. It is struggle carved into every breath. But within struggle lies hope. Each sunrise brings another chance to endure, another chance to build. And as stars shine overhead, voices soften, eyes close, and the weary drift into sleep, dreaming not of what is lost, but of what may still be won. When families choose to leave, the road ahead is more than miles of dust. It is hope stretched across wilderness. Wagons creak as they roll, oxen strain, children walk barefoot beside wheels. Each sunrise brings the unknown, new rivers to cross, new ridges to climb. Dust clings to every face, wind steals every word. Yet still, the road calls them on. For in every rattling axle and every aching step, there is the promise of a future somewhere farther ahead, beyond the horizon no one has yet reached. At first glance, the covered wagon looks sturdy, almost protective. But step inside, and you find cramped space, rough boards, jolting wheels. Every bump bruises, every rut rattles teeth. Families carry precious supplies, flour, beans, salt pork, packed tightly among quilts and tools. There is little room for comfort, less for privacy. Nights are restless, the canvas flapping with wind, rain dripping through seams. Still, the wagon is home, a moving refuge on an endless road. Without it, the journey would be impossible. With it, survival remains only a question of time. The plains stretch wider than imagination allows. Grass waves like oceans, horizon without end. Days pass with little change, the monotony broken only by storms or swarms of insects. At first, the vastness feels freeing, open skies, no walls, no limits. But soon, it becomes heavy. Distance itself is an enemy, each step swallowed by space that seems endless. Travelers speak less, saving breath for walking. At night, fires glow small against the immensity, stars glittering above in impossible numbers. The plains humble everyone, reminding them how small humans truly are. When storms arrive, the sky transforms in moments. Clouds stack like mountains, winds howl with sudden fury. Lightning splits open the world, striking earth so close it shakes the ground. Wagons tilt in the gales, canvas ripped away, animals bolt in terror. Rain turns roads to rivers, drowning wheels. Families huddle together, praying for the storm to pass quickly. When it does, the air smells sharp, the earth soaked and shining. Yet damage lingers, broken wheels, lost animals, soaked supplies. On the prairie, storms are not just weather. They are tests of will. Under summer sun, the plains offer no shade. Heat presses heavy, burning skin, parching throats. Water grows scarce, canteens passed carefully from hand to hand. Lips crack, feet blister, tempers flare. Children stumble, too weak to walk, lifted by weary parents who carry them forward. The trail becomes a furnace, wagons creaking in slow protest. Still, movement continues. For to stop under the relentless sun is to invite death. Step after step, the heat presses down, unyielding, until the merciful cool of night finally returns. Yet when the sun sinks, the world transforms again. Heat vanishes, replaced by chill so sudden it bites deep into bone. Blankets are pulled tight, fires burn low to save precious fuel. Sleep is restless, breath fogging in the air, frost forming on canvas edges. The prairie is cruel in its extremes, offering no middle ground. Travelers rise stiff, joints aching, but they rise all the same. For the road waits, indifferent to comfort, demanding only that each new mile be taken no matter how weary the body becomes. The wilderness is alive with creatures both magnificent and dangerous. Herds of bison thunder across plains, their power shaking the earth. Wolves shadow camps, eyes glowing at the edges of firelight. Snakes slip silently through tall grass, their bites sometimes fatal before help can come. Bears raid supplies, fierce and unstoppable once angered. Every step west carries risk, every rustle in the dark a reminder that humans are strangers here. Survival means vigilance, weapons close at hand, and prayers that the night remains quiet. Sooner or later, every journey west meets water. Rivers cut across the trail, wide and swift, uncaring of human need. Crossing them is terror in motion. Wagons floated like boats, oxen driven to swim. Current sees wheels, supplies spill into the rushing dark, lives vanish in seconds. Families weep on distant banks, forced to move forward without those lost. Even shallow rivers claim lives, their stones slick, their pull strong. Yet rivers cannot be avoided. Each one is faced in turn, another gamble with the wild, another toll demanded by the frontier. The trail west is marked not by milestones but by graves. Rough wooden crosses, stone piles, names carved hastily into bark. Sometimes prayers are said, sometimes silence is all grief allows. Families bury loved ones quickly, the earth shallow, time too short to linger. Travelers pass grave after grave, each one a reminder that survival is not promised. Some count the dead, others avert their eyes. The road itself becomes a graveyard stretched across the land, every mile carrying its own weight of sorrow and loss. Among the deadliest enemies of the trail is not animal nor storm, but sickness. Cholera spreads unseen, carried in water, striking with cruel speed. A healthy traveler at sunrise may be lifeless by sunset, drained of strength in hours. Camps whisper fear as one by one, neighbors fall. There is no cure, no remedy beyond prayer and luck. Families grow smaller, wagons lighter, graves more numerous. Cholera is merciless, and yet the trail continues, for to stop is to die, and to move forward is the only hope that remains. Cholera is not alone. Dysentery weakens bodies already thin from hunger. Typhoid burns with fever. Smallpox scars faces, spreads through towns like fire. Measles and whooping cough steal children silently. Each illness spreads quickly in the cramped quarters of wagons, families breathing the same air, drinking the same scarce water. Without medicine, survival becomes chance. The sick are laid in wagons, jolted by every rut, or left behind when progress cannot pause. Illness walks alongside every step westward, an invisible predator as dangerous as wolves or storms. In the face of such loss, faith deepens. Ministers travel with wagon trains, offering prayers, leading hymns that rise thinly into open air. Families bow heads before meals, asking protection not only from hunger but from despair. Graves are marked with scripture, songs sung softly by tired voices. Faith becomes a shield, fragile but needed, against the weight of sorrow. Even those who doubt find themselves whispering words into the dark, seeking comfort from skies vast and silent. On the endless trail, belief often becomes the last strength to carry on. Yet not all is hardship. There are moments when the land itself offers gifts. Sunset stains skies in colors too vivid for words, scarlet, gold, violet stretching across horizon. Herds of antelope leap gracefully, eagles soar high overhead. Wildflowers bloom in sudden bursts, painting plains with color. Children laugh at fireflies, their glow soft as stars caught in hands. These small moments remind travelers why they endure. Amid hardship, beauty endures too, fleeting but powerful, a reminder that the wilderness holds not only danger, but wonder. The trail brings encounters, some welcome, others tense. A wagon train passes another, greetings exchanged, news shared of dangers ahead. Sometimes strangers offer help with a broken wheel, or trade coffee for flour. Other times, suspicion clouds every glance. Resources are scarce, tempers short, and trust is fragile. Yet companionship, however brief, lifts spirits. To see new faces, to hear voices beyond one's own family, reminds travelers they are not alone on the endless road. These moments of connection are small, but they matter deeply. Not all strangers are fellow settlers. Wagon trains sometimes cross paths with native tribes. Contrary to stories told later, many encounters are peaceful, trade for food or guidance, gifts of water or herbs. Other times, tensions run high, the long history of conflict pressing on both sides. Fear lingers in every meeting, stories of raids told around campfires. Yet many settlers owe survival to native aid, though history rarely speaks of it. These encounters shape the journey, sometimes as lifelines, sometimes as reminders of the cost of expansion. Not every danger comes from outside. Within wagon trains, disputes flare, over supplies, over leadership, over the slow pace of travel. Families argue, friendships strain, anger festers. Sometimes fights break into violence, knives or pistols drawn in moments of fury. Isolation magnifies every grievance, and the endless road gives no escape. Trust breaks, wagons part ways, some groups dissolving entirely. Survival depends not only on strength against storms and sickness, but on peace within the campfire circle. When that peace breaks, the journey grows far more perilous. Without animals, the journey would fail. Oxen strain against harnesses, their patience unmatched though their steps are slow. Horses serve scouts and riders, swift but costly to keep. Mules pull with stubborn endurance, carrying loads others cannot. Animals are companions as well as laborers, families naming them, caring for them, grieving when they fall. Yet they too suffer. Hooves split on rocky ground, hides grow thin from hunger, exhaustion fells them. To lose an animal is to risk survival, for wagons without power are wagons left behind. When wagons break or rivers claim goods, families face ruin. Flour soaked in water becomes useless, beans rot, blankets are swept away. Tools lost mean fields cannot be planted later, wheels cannot be mended. Every item is precious, every loss heavy. Settlers adapt, stretching meals thinner, mending clothes with scraps, making do with less. Yet there are times when loss is too great, when families must abandon the journey, left behind as others move forward. The trail shows no mercy, and supplies are as vital as breath itself. Some days blur into endless walking. Dust rises in choking clouds, sun burns overhead, feet grow raw. Children lag behind, lifted into wagons already crowded. Adults trudge forward, silence heavy. The road seems without end, the horizon refusing to draw closer. Hope becomes measured not in miles, but in small victories. A stream reached, a ridge crossed, a campsite found. The march is weary, yet it continues. For in each weary step lies progress, however small, and progress is the only way forward. At last, the sun sinks and camp is made. Wagons circle loosely, fires spark against the dark. Meals of beans and cornbread fill bowls, voices murmur in tired conversation. Children curl beneath quilts, parents sit in silence, staring into flames. Stars brighten above, clear and infinite. Despite exhaustion, there is a quiet peace in these moments. The road has been harsh, yet tonight there is warmth, there is food, there is life. And with that, travelers rest, gathering strength for the miles that tomorrow will demand once more. As night deepens, the fire becomes more than warmth. It becomes a gathering place. Families draw close, shadows flickering across weary faces. Stories are told, not only of the day's hardships, but of faraway homes left behind, of futures dreamed ahead. Children listen wide-eyed as elders speak of heroes and legends, of courage in battles long past. Laughter sometimes breaks the stillness, soft and fleeting. The firelight makes even the harsh prairie seem gentler. For a moment, fear and fatigue are forgotten, replaced by the comfort of voices joined together in the night. When words are not enough, songs rise instead. Simple tunes carried by tired voices, harmonies rough but sincere. Hymns echo softly, familiar and steady, giving rhythm to endless steps. Around campfires, fiddles sometimes play, the strings worn but bright. Children clap hands, feet tap in time, and joy stirs, however brief. Music binds weary hearts, lifting spirits above hardship. On the trail, a song can become as necessary as food, feeding not the body, but the soul that must endure. Even in the wilderness, love finds space. Young men and women meet on the trail, glances exchanged while gathering water, conversations stolen at dusk. Courtships bloom slowly, shaped by hardship and necessity rather than luxury. Promises are whispered by wagon wheels, hands held briefly beneath starlight. Weddings sometimes take place along the road, vows spoken simply, rings improvised from metal or twine. Love here is not romantic fantasy, but partnership, two hearts choosing to endure together. In the harshness of the frontier, love becomes both shield and anchor. Life begins even as death walks beside the wagons. Births happen in cramped tents, on rough blankets, with only family and prayer to guide the mother through. The cries of a newborn bring relief, joy, and fear all at once. Survival is uncertain, for both child and mother, but when voices rise in celebration, it feels like defiance against the wilderness itself. Each new life is a fragile spark, a reminder that the journey west is not only about survival, but about building something beyond hardship. Children, even in struggle, find ways to play. They chase one another through tall grass, carve toys from scraps of wood, toss stones in games of aim. Their laughter drifts across camp, bright against the weary silence of adults. They turn wagon wheels into swings, sticks into swords, imagination into worlds where danger cannot reach. These moments of joy remind families why they endure. In the midst of hunger, fear, and endless walking, the sound of children playing is a promise that life, somehow, continues. Yet the road west does not spare the young. Children weaken quickly from fever, mothers collapse in childbirth, fathers fall from exhaustion. Death comes quietly, sometimes in the night, sometimes suddenly as wagons move on. Graves are dug with trembling hands, stones piled high to keep away animals. There is little time for mourning. The trail demands movement. Families wipe tears, hitch oxen, and continue forward, grief carried silently within them. Each loss is heavy, but stopping is not an option. The living must keep moving. At night, silence is never complete. Crickets sing in steady rhythm, wolves howl in the distance, owls call from unseen perches. The wind hums across the plains, brushing canvas, rattling loose boards. Hooves of oxen shift restlessly, chains clink, firewood crackles. These sounds become familiar, a lullaby of the wild. At first they bring unease, reminders of unseen dangers. But over time, they become comfort, proof that life stirs all around. The wilderness hums its own song, and travelers fall asleep within its steady chorus. On clear nights, the sky stretches wider than imagination. Stars scatter in countless numbers, rivers of light flowing across blackness. Families lie back on blankets, necks craned, whispering about constellations, pointing to shapes their ancestors once knew. The Milky Way shines so brightly it seems like a road itself, leading westward alongside the wagons. For a moment, the hardships of Earth fall away, and eyes drift upward into infinity. In starlight, settlers remember they are part of something far larger than themselves. The plains eventually give way to mountains, jagged and daunting. Paths wind steeply upward, wagons groaning under strain. Rocks loosen under hooves, wheels skid on narrow trails. The air grows thinner, colder, every breath harder earned. Snow sometimes lingers on peaks, even in summer, chilling hands and faces. Yet the view from ridges is breathtaking, valleys stretching wide, rivers glinting far below. Mountains are obstacles, yes, but also monuments of beauty. They test resolve, but reward those who endure with visions that linger forever. Some mountain paths are no wider than the wagons themselves, sheer drops on one side, towering cliffs on the other. Progress slows to a crawl, every creak of wood, every slip of hoof echoing with danger. Families walk ahead, steadying wheels with ropes, hearts pounding at each step. The wind whistles, cold and sharp, carrying stones that tumble down from above. Survival depends on balance, caution, and trust. When the wagons emerge safely, breaths are released in relief, and prayers whispered in gratitude. Even in warmer months, snow surprises travelers in mountain passes. Flakes drift quietly at first, then thicken into storms that bury paths, chill fingers to numbness. Fires sputter, wood too wet to burn. Blankets are shared, families huddling close for warmth. Food grows scarce, energy dwindles, yet wagons push on. Snow is both beauty and threat, its silence deceptive, its grip dangerous. For those who endure, the memory of white mountains beneath summer skies becomes part of the story carried forever. Sometimes the mountains strike without warning. Snow loosens from high peaks, roaring downward in unstoppable force. Avalanches bury trails, crush wagons, silence camps. Survivors dig frantically, hands raw, searching for loved ones beneath icy weight. Losses are mourned quickly, for the road cannot wait. Avalanches remind settlers that nature is not merely backdrop but ruler, capable of reshaping lives in a single instant. Fear lingers long after the snow settles, each creak of ice above stirring dread in weary hearts. Despite danger, the air of the mountains feels different, thin, sharp, invigorating. Pine scents drift through cold breezes, streams run clear and bright. Breathing is harder, but the freshness is unlike anything from the plains. Birds wheel above cliffs, marmots dart between rocks, deer graze in high meadows. Even exhaustion cannot erase the wonder of this air. Settlers pause more often, not only for rest, but to take in the view, the scent, the feeling of being high above the world they once knew. After endless climbs and descents, a valley appears. Green spreads wide below, rivers winding like silver threads, forests dark and inviting. Relief surges through weary travelers. For the first time in months, the land ahead looks like home. Fertile, alive, possible. Families point, children cheer, voices rise with joy. The valley is not yet reached, but its sight rekindles hope. Every hardship endured feels worth it in that moment, for the future suddenly seems within reach, no longer just a dream. The way down is no easier than the climb. Wagons strain against gravity, wheels locked to slow the fall. Ropes dig into hands as settlers steady their loads, guiding them carefully along rocky slopes. Feet slip, animals stumble, crashes narrowly avoided. Yet downward progress feels different. Momentum carrying families closer to rest, closer to soil that may finally be theirs. Each step downward feels like stepping closer to life, the valley below drawing nearer with every breathless moment. When the valley floor is reached, the search for shelter begins. Caves offer temporary refuge, trees provide wood for cabins yet to be built. Streams supply water, meadows grass for animals. Families choose their spots carefully, weighing safety, soil, and distance from others. The first fires in the valley burn with relief, their smoke rising not as signal, but as welcome. Shelter is still rough, still temporary, but for the first time, there is a sense of belonging, a sense of arrival. The work of settlement begins with axes striking wood, hammers pounding nails. Cabins rise from logs, crude at first but strong. Roofs are thatched with branches, floors packed dirt, windows little more than cloth stretched thin. Yet each cabin is a triumph, a wall against the wilderness, a place to sleep without fear of the sky. Families move inside proudly, calling it home, though comfort is still far away. These homes are beginnings, the first foundations of lives reshaped by the land. With shelter secured, attention turns to soil. Seeds saved from journeys are pressed into earth, rows marked carefully. Corn, beans, squash, simple crops to sustain life. Days are spent bent low, hands dirty, sweat stinging eyes. Rain is prayed for, pests battled, animals guarded from tender shoots. Growth is slow, uncertain, but filled with hope. Each sprout that breaks the soil is celebrated, proof that the land will provide, that survival will stretch beyond tomorrow. Planting is more than work. It is faith made visible. Months later, when stalks stand tall and beans rattle in their pods, the first harvest comes. Families gather together, baskets filled with hard-earned food. Meals taste richer than any before, seasoned not only by salt, but by survival. The harvest is modest, but it is theirs, grown by their own hands, proof of resilience. Around fires, thanks are given, laughter shared, futures dreamed aloud. The harvest marks not just survival, but the beginning of belonging, the first roots set deep into new soil. At last, the journey ends, though hardship never truly does. Homes are built, fields planted, children grow among hills once untamed. The West remains wild, dangerous, unpredictable. Yet settlers claim their place, carving lives from its vastness. They carry scars from storms, from loss, from endless miles of road. But they also carry pride, strength, and the memory of what they endured. For every grave along the trail, there is also a life begun anew. And with that, the story of the Wild West truly begins. Now that the settlement stands, silence feels different. It is no longer the silence of endless trail or hostile wilderness, but of land waiting to be filled with life. The wind through grass hums quietly, carrying scents of soil freshly turned. Nights are softer, punctuated by the lowing of cattle, the crackle of hearths, the steady breath of sleepers under rough quilts. This silence is no longer emptiness. It is potential. It is the promise of voices, laughter, footsteps, and years yet to come. Soon, other families arrive, wagons creaking into the valley. They greet with cautious hope, offering hands, tools, and smiles worn thin by miles of hardship. Cabins rise beside one another, fences stretch across meadows, paths connect hearth to hearth. Neighbors share seed, lend oxen, trade bread for nails. Though solitude once defined the journey, now community begins to shape survival. Together, The settlers discover that what one family cannot manage, many hands can. The valley grows not just in homes, but in kinship. Each morning, settlers walk to streams with buckets balanced in hand. The water is clear, cold, and restless, tumbling from mountains beyond sight. Fetching it becomes routine, yet never effortless. Slippery stones test balance, heavy pails strain arms. Still, each return trip means life, water to drink, to cook, to wash. Families learn to cherish every drop, careful never to waste. Around the stream, neighbors meet, sharing news, worries, and laughter as water flows steadily past, its sound a comfort that never fades. With children running through meadows, the settlers decide it is time to teach them more than chores. A small cabin is set aside, benches carved from logs, a slate propped at the front. A woman with letters from back east takes the role of teacher, guiding little hands to form words, little voices to recite numbers. Lessons are short, interrupted by chores and harvests, yet they root dreams. In the glow of firelight, children whisper alphabets, their futures slowly unfolding within the walls of the first school. On Sundays, work pauses, though the fields always whisper with need. Families dress in their best, shirts scrubbed clean, skirts patched carefully. They gather in the largest cabin or beneath wide trees, voices rising in hymns that echo through the valley. Some bring bread, others stories, all bring prayer. The gatherings are not only for worship but for belonging. Here, settlers remember they are not alone, that faith and fellowship can carry them where strength alone might falter. Sundays weave hope into weary hearts. Months later, a peddler arrives with a wagon full of goods. Bolts of cloth, jars of sugar, nails, and even a few precious books. The settlers gather eagerly, coins counted, trades offered. Prices are high, but the goods are treasures. A spool of thread becomes luxury, a tin of peaches a miracle. The peddler stays a few days, sharing tales of distant towns, then moves on, promising to return. For the settlers, the store is not just supplies. It is a reminder that the world beyond still exists. Winter arrives harshly, snow deepening until paths vanish. Cabins huddle under drifts, chimneys smoke steady, woodpiles shrink faster than expected. Families share what little they can spare. Flour here, firewood there. Nights are long, but stories are told by lamplight, songs whispered to restless children. Hunger bites, but no one starves. They endure as a community, proving that survival is stronger when carried together. When spring thaws the valley, neighbors look at one another with pride. They faced the first true test, and they endured. With survival steadier, dreams grow taller. Saplings are planted in careful rows, apple, peach, plum, carried from faraway nurseries, wrapped tenderly in burlap. They seem fragile against the vast land, their roots shallow, their trunks thin. Yet settlers water them faithfully, shield them from grazing animals, pray for their survival. These trees will take years to bear fruit, but that is the point. They are a gift to the future, a promise that generations yet unborn will taste sweetness grown from this soil. When the mail rider finally arrives, dust-covered and weary, the settlement stirs with excitement. Letters from back east are passed from hand to hand, opened with trembling fingers. Words from mothers, brothers, friends bring tears, laughter, silence. Some letters carry joy, marriages, births, good harvests. Others carry grief, losses, sickness, wars. Though ink on paper, the words bridge vast distances, reminding settlers of the lives they left behind. Each letter is read again and again, until the paper grows soft, its edges worn with love. When the valley grows weary of toil, joy must be made. Families gather in the largest barn, lanterns hung from beams, fiddles tuned, boots stomp on wooden floors. Couples twirl, Children laugh, elders clap along. Food is shared, laughter louder than the music. For one night, hardship is forgotten, replaced by rhythm, light, and joy. The barn becomes not just shelter for animals, but a place where hearts remember how to feel alive. The valley, once only struggle, now knows celebration. Not all who wander west seek honest lives. One morning, settlers wake to find livestock missing, supplies stolen. Tracks lead into hills, whispers of outlaws spreading quickly. Fear lingers at every firelight, rifles kept close. Men take turns keeping watch, women comfort children. The valley feels less safe, its openness a threat as well as a gift. The law is far away, and justice uncertain. Yet neighbors vow to stand together, refusing to let shadows undo what they have built. Weeks later, a rider appears, a star pinned to his chest. He listens to complaints, walks the valley with calm eyes, and promises to keep watch. His presence brings uneasy relief, safety, perhaps, but also authority. He sets rules for disputes, mediates arguments, and posts warnings against theft. Not everyone trusts him, but his presence steadies nerves. In the Wild West, law often arrived one man at a time, his star both shield and target. In the valley, a fragile order begins. From logs and nails, a small church rises, its roof rough, its pews simple. But when a bell is hung and its first tone rings across the valley, the settlers pause in their work. The sound carries far, steady and strong. It calls families together, not only for worship, but for community. The bell becomes heartbeat and compass, marking time, calling for help, ringing in celebration or mourning. Each chime reminds settlers that even in wilderness, spirit and fellowship endure. One spring, a traveling doctor arrives, his saddlebags filled with medicines, his hands practiced and sure. He treats fevers with gentler remedies, sets broken bones with care, delivers babies with skill beyond guesswork. Though his tools are still crude by modern standards, to the settlers he is a miracle. He chooses to stay, building a small office, tending both bodies and spirits. His presence lowers fear, eases grief, and offers a kind of safety settlers never imagined possible so far from cities. By harvest's end, families decide to celebrate. A fair is held in a meadow, tables laden with food, quilts displayed, livestock paraded proudly. Children race, pies are judged, ribbons tied to prize-winning pumpkins. For a day, work transforms into festivity, and the valley glows with joy. It is no longer just survival, but tradition taking root. The fair becomes a promise. Year after year, families will gather, laugh, and remember why they came. The wilderness, slowly, is turning into community. Another winter descends, harsher than the last. Snow piles high, roofs sag beneath weight, winds howl fierce enough to shake cabins. Livestock huddle close, their breath steaming in icy air. Families ration food carefully, light fires sparingly. Yet this time, they are not unprepared. Shelters are stronger, neighbors closer, supplies stored. Though storms rage, fear is less. Together, the valley endures. In hardship, they discover the strength that comes not from standing alone, but from leaning into one another. One man sets up a forge, his hammer striking iron, sparks flying bright in the dim valley mornings. He shoes horses, mends plows, shapes nails, and builds hinges. His work echoes across the settlement, steady and strong. The forge becomes a hub where neighbors gather not only for repairs but for stories, for news, for warmth in winter. His fire never truly goes out, glowing as a symbol of resilience. Where iron bends, so too does hardship, shaped into strength. When winter eases, children gather one last time in the schoolhouse before fields call them back to labor. Their letters are stronger now, their sums quicker, their voices braver when reciting aloud. Parents listen proudly, though they know work will soon fill every hour. Yet education has begun its steady work, seeds planted in young minds, promises of futures brighter than toil alone. As the school term closes, the valley learns that learning itself is harvest, one that never truly ends. As blossoms open in orchards, so too do hearts. A young couple marries in the valley's church, vows spoken simply, witnessed by neighbors who now feel like kin. Flowers adorn rough benches, music drifts from fiddles, food is shared beneath open skies. Joy radiates, laughter carries, and the valley feels renewed. This wedding is not just the union of two souls, but of a community that now celebrates love, promising to shelter and support it in the years to come. With years now past, settlers no longer think only of surviving. They dream of mills by the river, schools with more books, orchards heavy with fruit, roads leading to towns beyond. They speak of futures where their children inherit not only land but opportunity. The valley is no longer wilderness alone. It is becoming home, shaped by hands, hearts, and hopes. Each sunrise brings not just work, but possibility. In dreams beyond survival, the story of the West truly grows. As winter fades, the valley bursts alive. Blossoms paint orchards white and pink, rivers swell with melted snow, and the settlers decide to celebrate their survival once more. A spring festival is born. Children wear crowns of wildflowers, tables are lined with fresh bread, smoked meat, and jars of precious jam saved from the last harvest. Neighbors dance barefoot in meadows, laughter carrying across hills. For a moment, toil is forgotten. The land feels generous, the future bright, and the valley hums with joy. By the river's edge, a wheel begins to turn, creaking at first, then steady. A mill is built from timber and stone, harnessing the current's endless force. Grain that once took hours to grind by hand is now crushed swiftly between heavy stones. Families bring sacks of wheat and corn, watching in awe as the wheel spins. The mill is more than convenience. It is progress, proof that hardship can be eased with ingenuity. Its steady rhythm becomes heartbeat of the growing settlement. With growth comes decision. The settlers gather in the largest barn, lanterns swinging from rafters, benches crowded. Voices rise, not always in agreement. Where to build the next road, how to divide pasture, what to do about the lingering threat of outlaws. Arguments flare, but so too does compromise. For the first time, the valley governs itself, rough though the process may be. From scattered families, a town begins to form, not through decree, but through voices joined together in choice. One summer, a new wagon rolls in, its canvas worn, its travelers gaunt. They ask for food, for shelter, for a place among the settlers. Some hesitate, wary of scarce resources and unknown intentions. Others welcome them, remembering their own struggles on the trail. The strangers stay, building their cabin, working hard beside neighbors. Slowly, suspicion fades. The valley learns that each newcomer is both challenge and gift, another story woven into the tapestry of survival and belonging. As the years pass, losses accumulate. A hillside is chosen, quiet and green, overlooking the valley below. Here, settlers bury their dead. Wooden crosses mark graves at first, later replaced by stones carved with trembling hands. Funerals are simple, prayers whispered, hymns sung, tears shared. Though sorrow lingers, the cemetery becomes sacred ground, a place of memory and respect. Each grave tells a story of courage, of sacrifice, of lives given to carve meaning from the wilderness. The valley holds its dead close. To cross the rushing river safely, settlers build a bridge. Logs are cut, ropes tied, planks hammered into place. The work is dangerous, Waters roar below, hands blister, beams creak, but when the bridge is finished, cheers echo through the valley. Now, families can reach fields, neighbors, and markets without fear of drowning. The bridge is more than wood and rope. It is a symbol of connection, binding both sides of the valley together, a promise that progress will carry them forward. One autumn, soldiers ride into the valley, uniforms dusty, boots spurred. They speak of forts nearby, of skirmishes with tribes still resisting encroachment. Some settlers feel safer with their presence, others uneasy, knowing conflict follows where armies tread. The soldiers trade supplies, offer news, then ride away, leaving behind both relief and worry. The valley is reminded that it does not exist in isolation. The great push west is larger than their small settlement, and history moves around them like a tide. Bright one morning, a tinker arrives, his cart piled high with pots, pans, and tools. Children rush to see the strange contraptions, mothers haggle over kettles, fathers eye sharp new axes. The tinker tells stories of towns farther west, of railroads pushing closer, of inventions changing lives. For settlers used to sameness, his visit feels like magic. When he departs, the valley feels both smaller and larger, connected to a wider world, yet grateful for the quiet it still holds. Summer burns hotter than before. Rains do not come, streams shrink, fields wither. Livestock grow thin, wells run dry. Families ration water carefully, saving drops for survival. Dust clings to clothes, throats ache with thirst, tempers flare under relentless sun. Yet neighbors share what little they have, hauling buckets from distant springs, digging deeper into soil for moisture. The drought tests the settlement's endurance, but also its unity. Together, they endure, proving again that hardship binds more tightly than ease. When the first storm finally breaks, settlers rush outside, faces turned upward, arms outstretched. Rain pours, soaking clothes, filling barrels, running joyfully across parched earth. Children dance barefoot in mud, laughter mingling with thunder. Fields drink deeply, leaves unfurl green once more. Relief spreads like sunlight after shadow. The rain is not merely weather, it is renewal, salvation, blessing. In its rhythm, the settlers hear promise that no drought, no trial lasts forever. The valley breathes again, alive with hope. One day, a preacher arrives on horseback, Bible worn, voice carrying far. He gathers settlers beneath a tree, speaking of faith, of perseverance, of the trials that shape souls. Some listen in rapture, others skeptically, yet all are moved by his words. He baptizes in the river, blesses children, comforts widows. Then, as suddenly as he arrived, he departs, leaving only echoes of hymns and a deeper sense of spirit in the valley. His visit becomes part of its living memory. With hunting and mining growing, settlers decide a store of powder and shot is needed. A stout shed is built, guarded carefully, its walls thick. It is both necessity and danger, for one spark could destroy all. Children are warned to stay far. Men handle barrels with reverence. The powder store represents the sharp edge of survival, both protector and threat. Its presence reminds the valley that wilderness is never far, and the tools to face it come with weighty responsibility. As evening falls, a fiddler lifts his bow, and music spills into the air. Others join with harmonicas, banjos, even spoons tapping rhythm. Neighbors gather, swaying gently, feet tapping. Children fall asleep against parents' shoulders, cradled by song. Music weaves through hardship, soothing aches, softening grief, lifting spirits. In the valley, songs become tradition, carried from one generation to the next. Each note is both memory and promise, a reminder that even in struggle, beauty must be made. The schoolhouse, once small, now overflows. More benches are built, windows widened for light. Older children help younger, teaching as much as learning. Books remain scarce, but imagination fills gaps. The teacher speaks of lands far beyond, of science, of history, planting seeds of curiosity. Parents watch proudly, knowing their children will reach beyond their own limits. The school is not only education, it is hope embodied, a beacon of what can be when minds are nurtured alongside hands. A woman sets up a loom in her cabin, threads stretched taut, shuttle clicking back and forth. Soon, cloth emerges, rough but warm, colored with dyes made from roots and berries. Neighbors come to learn, bringing wool, flax, and stories. The loom becomes both craft and connection, its rhythm steady, soothing. Clothes no longer only patched and worn, but made anew, woven with pride. Each piece of cloth is more than fabric. It is proof that even in hardship, creation blossoms. Word spreads of rails being laid closer with each season, iron lines stretching across mountains and plains. Some settlers dream of easier trade, of letters arriving swiftly, of goods once impossible now within reach. Others fear the change, the flood of strangers, the loss of solitude. The railroad represents progress, but also uncertainty. Around fires, voices debate late into the night, torn between longing for connection and fear of losing the quiet that makes the valley theirs. One dry summer, sparks catch in grass, and flames leap high. Smoke billows, winds spread danger across fields. Families rush with buckets, beating flames with wet cloths, herding animals to safety. Hours pass in frantic struggle until finally, the fire dies. Exhausted, settlers look upon blackened earth, grateful lives were spared. The valley bears scars, but already green shoots appear. Fire is reminder and teacher, destructive, yet renewing, a force never to be forgotten. Survival demands respect for flame's dual nature. A traveling merchant sets up shop in a wagon, selling fabrics, books, and exotic spices. Children marvel at trinkets from faraway lands, mothers dream over bolts of cloth, fathers weigh the cost of tools. Though coins are scarce, the merchant leaves behind more than goods. He leaves stories, tales of bustling cities, inventions like telegraphs and steamships. His presence stirs both wonder and longing, a reminder that while the valley grows, the world beyond races forward. The doctor who stayed finds his own family growing. His wife gives birth safely, her cries answered by the healthy wail of a child. The valley gathers to celebrate, bringing gifts of food, quilts, and song. The doctor, who has saved so many, now holds life in his own arms. His child becomes symbol of renewal, of hope not only for settlers but for the man who chose to call the valley home. Life, fragile and precious, continues its quiet miracle. As another year closes, settlers stand upon the ridge overlooking their valley. Cabins smoke gently, fields stretch golden, orchards bloom despite storms. They speak of futures yet to come, more schools, stronger bridges, perhaps even a town with streets and lamps. Dreams feel less like fantasy, more like certainty. They have endured drought, fire, storm, and loss, yet still they stand. Tomorrow will bring trials, but also triumphs. The valley is no longer wilderness alone. It is a home, alive with promise. Though a doctor now lives in the valley, a midwife's hands remain trusted. With gentle touch and quiet voice, she guides mothers through long nights of labor, her presence steady as the stars outside. She knows herbs that soothe pain, teas that steady breath, rituals whispered from generations past. Women lean on her strength, men wait outside in anxious silence, until finally the cries of new life echo through cabins. The midwife's gift is more than skill, it is comfort, a reminder that birth, even in hardship, carries hope. As herds grow, Settlers build fences to keep cattle safe and crops untrampled. Posts are sunk deep into soil, rails laid one after another. Children help by carrying small stones, while men hammer with calloused hands. Women bring water and bread, their laughter softening weariness. Fences mark boundaries, but they also mark progress. The valley begins to look less wild, more tended. Each fence is both shield and claim, a line saying, "Here we stay, here we make our home." Dusty men with picks and shovels wander into the valley, their eyes glinting with dreams of gold in mountains beyond. They trade stories of strikes and failures, of fortunes made overnight and lost just as quickly. Settlers listen, curious yet cautious. For them, survival is built on soil, not glittering promises. The miners stay a few nights, then vanish back into wilderness. Their presence lingers, a reminder of the restless pursuit that drives many westward. Yet in the valley, roots matter more than riches. One autumn afternoon, a child wanders too far into the woods. Hours pass, panic spreads. Neighbors gather, torches lit, voices calling into night. The forest feels endless, shadows thick. Just as fear begins to weigh heavy, a shout rings out. The child is found, tired but safe, curled beneath a fallen tree. Relief floods the valley, tears fall freely, prayers whispered in gratitude. That night, families hold children closer, reminded of both wilderness's danger and community's power to protect. When snow keeps families indoors, women gather with needles and cloth. Around warm fires, they stitch quilts, patterns of stars, flowers, and memories woven into fabric. Stories are shared with each thread, laughter rising as stitches join. The quilts are not just blankets, they are warmth made visible, love made tangible. Each one tells a story, of hardship faced, of joys remembered, of hands working together through long, cold nights. In quilting circles, the valley finds comfort in craft. The blacksmith's hammer grows busier, the anvil ringing from dawn to dusk. He builds not only horseshoes and plows, but gates, hinges, and tools of finer craft. Apprentices join him, eager to learn. The forge glows brighter each night, its sparks lighting the dark. The blacksmith's shop becomes more than workplace. It is center of innovation, proof that fire and iron can shape not only tools, but futures. In each swing of his hammer, the valley hears progress. As the settlement grows, voices rise. It is time to choose leaders, not just gather in meetings. Ballots are written, names spoken, choices debated. On election day, neighbors cast votes with solemn care, each slip of paper both responsibility and hope. When results are read, cheers and sighs mingle, but unity holds. The valley has chosen its path together. Democracy, fragile yet real, takes root in soil once ruled only by wilderness. From scattered cabins, a community truly becomes a town. For valley children, the first snow each winter is not burden but magic. They race outside, cheeks flushed, voices shrill with laughter. Snowmen rise, sleds glide, mittens soak through with melting frost. Parents watch, smiling, remembering their own childhoods far away. In these moments, hardship fades. Snow is not only cold, but wonder, turning wilderness into playground. Years later, grown children will remember the valley not only for toil, but for snowflakes that once fell soft upon their eyelashes. A stranger arrives with a large wooden camera, black cloth, and delicate glass plates. Settlers marvel as he sets up, posing families stiffly outside cabins, urging them to hold still as light burns their image into memory. Days later, he reveals portraits, faces caught forever, homes captured in sepia tones. For many, it is the first time they have ever seen themselves preserved. The photographs become treasures, proof that their struggles, their joy, their very existence will not be forgotten. One family digs a well deeper than any before. Day after day, they lower buckets, lift soil, brace walls. At last, water gushes forth, cool and steady even in drought. Neighbors come to see, to draw, to celebrate. The well is not just survival, it is abundance, security, future. Children dip their hands, laughing as water splashes. The valley learns that beneath hardship lies hidden strength, waiting to be uncovered if one digs deep enough, with patience and faith. After years of guiding young minds, the valley's first teacher prepares to leave. Her health wanes, her family calls from back east. On her last day, children recite lessons with trembling voices, gifts of flowers and drawings given with tears. Parents thank her, voices breaking. She departs with a heart full, leaving behind not only knowledge, but a legacy. The school she built will endure, shaped forever by her hands. In the valley, her name is spoken with gratitude. When fields ripen golden, families gather to reap. Work is hard, sun relentless, but laughter lightens labor. At harvest's end, a feast is held. Tables grown with roasted meat, fresh bread, pies made from fruit picked at dawn. Songs rise, children chase fireflies, elders tell stories under stars. The feast is more than celebration. It is thanksgiving, proof that toil yields abundance, that unity brings survival. Year after year, the harvest feast becomes tradition, binding generations together in joy. One winter night, a storm rages too fiercely for a mother to return home. She labors within the church, neighbors gathered in prayer as the midwife works by lantern light. Hours later, a child's cry pierces the storm. The church, once only a place of worship, now shelters new life. The congregation rejoices, seeing the building as more than wood and stone. It is sanctuary, a house of beginnings as well as endings. The child grows, forever tied to sacred walls. As weaving grows, several women band together, forming a guild of sorts. They trade patterns, dye recipes, and finished cloth, building strength in shared skill. Younger girls learn quickly, eager to master loom and spindle. The guild becomes a circle of friendship, support, and quiet pride. Each garment worn in the valley carries a piece of their labor, their artistry. Though the wilderness outside remains harsh, within their cabins beauty flourishes, threaded into every shawl, blanket, and tunic. Despite progress, winter brings sickness. Coughs echo, fevers burn, families worry as remedies run thin. The doctor works tirelessly, aided by herbs and care, while neighbors deliver broth, firewood, and prayer. Loss touches some cabins, grief heavy. Yet spring eventually returns, illness fading with the snow. Survivors rise, weary but thankful. The valley learns again that life is fragile, yet resilience lies in compassion, in caring for one another through darkness. Together, they endure what none could face alone. The church bell, once rung for joy and gathering, tolls slow and solemn. A beloved elder has passed, their wisdom carried into silence. Settlers walk in procession, heads bowed, hearts heavy. The bell's sound lingers in air, echoing across hills like memory itself. Grief is shared, and in sharing, softened. Though one life has ended, the valley stands as testament to the legacy they leave behind. The bell reminds all that even in sorrow, community carries the weight. After hardship, spring feels sweeter. Trees blossom, lambs stumble in meadows, rivers sing with melted snow. Families open shutters, sweep cabins, plant anew. Children chase butterflies, their laughter chasing away the last of winter gloom. Renewal hums through every leaf and stone. The valley itself seems to sigh in relief, breathing life back into weary souls. For settlers, spring is not just season, it is rebirth, proof that even the coldest trials end and warmth always returns. One farmer begins keeping careful records. When rains fall, when frosts arrive, when crops thrive or fail. His notebook becomes invaluable, guiding planting, predicting storms. Soon, neighbors contribute, adding wisdom passed down from parents and grandparents. The almanac becomes community treasure, more precious than coin. Each page binds past to future, knowledge carried forward so no hardship is faced blindly again. In ink and observation, the valley finds a way to wrest order from the wild. One summer, laughter echoes where hardship once lingered. A small circus arrives, jugglers, acrobats, even a tired bear led gently by its keeper. Children squeal in delight, adults smile despite themselves. The circus is shabby, costumes patched, yet to settlers it is wonder. For a night, the valley forgets toil and danger, carried away by spectacle. When the circus leaves, dust trailing, memories remain. The valley has seen magic, proof that joy can arrive on any wagon at any time. Years pass, and the valley no longer feels wild alone. Roads stretch outward, orchards bloom strong, children grow into skilled hands and curious minds. Dreams expand, of schools larger, stores sturdier, perhaps even a railway stop nearby. The settlers no longer speak only of survival, but of prosperity. What was once a scattering of cabins now hums with life, with memory, with promise. The future is still uncertain, but it is theirs, shaped by sweat, sacrifice, and hope. Spring returns with quiet insistence. Orchards planted years ago now burst with blossoms, white and pink against the blue sky. Bees hum busily, carrying promise from flower to flower. Children run among the rows, laughter carrying across the valley. Families pause from chores to admire nature's resilience. Each bloom is both reward and reminder. Patience, care, and persistence shape the world. The valley seems to breathe alongside the trees, alive with color, fragrance, and hope. A few settlers decide to journey to the neighboring town. Horses are saddled, wagons packed, provisions checked. The trail is rough, dust rising in their wake. Hills stretch endlessly, rivers must be forded, and occasional wildlife reminds travelers of the wilderness still beyond the valley. Yet with every mile, they carry news, letters, and supplies, strengthening the bond between settlements. The journey is slow, deliberate, and filled with reflection, each step a measure of endurance and courage. With trade expanding, a small bank opens, wooden structures sturdy against the wind. Coins are carefully stored, notes exchanged, savings recorded. Settlers are cautious, yet relief spreads, security for hard-earned wealth, proof that their labors are valued. Children peek inside wide-eyed, watching numbers and ledgers, sensing the beginnings of order. The bank represents trust, structure, and progress, a quiet milestone in the valley's transformation from wild frontier to stable community. One day, a rider arrives, tired and dusty, bearing newspapers from distant cities. He tells of inventions, railroads, and towns far away. Settlers gather to listen, absorbing stories of progress, of opportunities and dangers beyond their valley. For some, the news inspires dreams, for others, unease. Yet curiosity blooms alongside caution. The world beyond feels both large and reachable. Knowledge carries weight, connecting the valley to the wider currents of history and change. Autumn brings work that is both routine and ritual. Fields must be cleared, crops gathered before frost, barns filled with hay for winter. Children help, learning the rhythm of labor, their small hands steadying bundles. Families cooperate, sharing tasks and cheer. Work is hard, but gratitude seeps through every motion. Harvest is not merely survival, It is reward, a tangible testament to effort, patience, and shared purpose. Even in toil, the valley hums with life and continuity. Clouds gather on the horizon, heavy and gray, signaling snow and bitter wind. Settlers brace cabins, stack firewood, secure animals. Children watch anxiously as clouds roll in, the sky darkening. Inside, families huddle near hearths, sharing stories, blankets, and warmth. Outside, the valley holds its breath as storm gusts rattle rooftops. Yet inside each home, care and preparation offer reassurance. Storms are inevitable, but endurance, planning, and community transform fear into resilience. The blacksmith takes on young apprentices, teaching them to shape iron with skill and care. Sparks fly, tools clang, and knowledge passes from hand to hand. Each boy or girl learns patience, precision, and the value of labor. The forge becomes more than a workshop. It is a school, a hub of creation, where tradition and craft meet progress. Through fire and iron, the valley's future is forged alongside horseshoes, tools, and gates. Summer evenings bring music back to the valley. Fiddles, banjos, and voices fill the air as families gather under lanterns. Children dance, elders sway, and laughter echoes across hills. The festival is not only celebration but renewal, a reminder that life persists despite toil and hardship. Music becomes rhythm, healing, and connection, a gentle thread stitching every soul to the community. Joy grows quietly, yet powerfully, alongside every note. New cabins rise where once there were meadows. Roads are widened, fences extended, orchards multiplied. Families grow in size and number, and strangers are welcomed as neighbors. With each construction, the valley feels less wild, more settled. Yet the land's vastness hums constantly beneath their feet, reminding settlers of both opportunity and vulnerability. Expansion is progress, but it is also a careful negotiation with the enduring wilderness. Books, once rare, begin to accumulate in the schoolhouse. Children gather to read, curiosity blossoming. Stories of lands far away ignite imagination, manuals teach practical skills. The library becomes a quiet sanctuary, a place of reflection and learning. Parents watch with pride as knowledge spreads beyond chores and fields. In quiet corners, young minds dream of futures both near and distant, carried on the wings of ink and paper. Settlers face the river again, swollen from spring melt. Wagons must be floated across, animals guided, every step careful. The water rushes, current strong, yet careful teamwork ensures safe passage. Crossing is laborious, tense, and reflective. It reminds settlers that even familiar paths hold danger, and that survival is often a balance of courage, skill, and cooperation. On the far bank, relief and laughter mingle, a ritual repeated each season, teaching humility and resilience. A small press begins printing in the valley. Local news, events, births, and deaths are chronicled in ink on paper. Settlers read aloud, sharing stories, victories, and warnings. For the first time, communication within the valley feels structured, recorded, permanent. The newspaper is more than information. It is community memory, a thread binding generations together, a voice against forgetfulness in a land once defined by silence. One evening, a wagon breaks down on the outskirts of the valley. Settlers rush to help, offering tools, hands, and advice. The stranded family is fed, sheltered, and guided back on their way. The episode reminds everyone that survival often extends beyond one's own household. Kindness and readiness to help travelers become part of the valley's unspoken code, and gratitude strengthens bonds. Every shared effort reinforces the community's resilience. Children growing older are finally taught to ride horses. wobbly first steps, squeals of laughter, scraped knees, and careful hands guiding them through the rhythm of saddle and stirrup. By evening, some ride with confidence, some fall gently, all learning patience and courage. Riding is both skill and freedom, a connection to the land, and a rite of passage marking the valley's next generation's growth and independence. Families bring vegetables, herbs, and flowers to display, celebrating growth and effort. Children run with ribbons, elders judge produce, and laughter mixes with sunlight. Pride radiates from every booth and table. The garden fair is both leisure and lesson. Care for the earth yields beauty and sustenance. The valley, once purely survival-focused, now revels in achievement, community, and shared creativity. Even as life thrives, illness returns unexpectedly. Fevers strike, bodies weaken, and worry spreads. The doctor tends tirelessly, neighbors deliver broth and blankets, prayers rise in unison. Some recover swiftly, others linger longer. The valley learns again that health is fragile, that even in prosperity, vigilance is necessary. Compassion becomes medicine, hope becomes shield, and the bonds between families grow ever tighter. The first frost signals work yet again. Families gather wood, store grain, mend clothing. Children help carry, sweep, and organize. Though repetitive, preparation ensures survival. Fires burn longer, kitchens bustle, and nights grow quieter but more secure. The rhythm of the seasons teaches patience, planning, and foresight. The valley, seasoned by hardship, moves forward with steady purpose. As evening descends, settlers gather around hearths, sharing tales of ancestors, adventures, and the land itself. Children listen wide-eyed, learning the valley's history, traditions, and quiet wisdom. Stories preserve memory, pass lessons, and entertain. They remind all that even in silence or darkness, voices carry across generations, guiding, inspiring, and comforting those who listen. A wagon train reaches the valley, weary travelers seeking home. Settlers welcome them, sharing shelter, food, and advice. New families bring fresh energy, skills, and dreams. Integration is careful but warm. The valley grows not only in numbers but in spirit. Every arrival strengthens resilience, teaching that a community thrives not only through survival, but by embracing those who join its story. At sunset, the valley glows golden, smoke rising gently from chimneys. Fields stretch outward, children play, animals wander safely. Settlers pause to watch light fade behind hills, reflecting on challenges overcome, lives nurtured, and futures imagined. The wilderness feels less daunting, the land less vast. Harmony between toil, nature, and community is palpable. Though tomorrow will bring new trials, tonight is quiet, safe, and filled with gratitude, a perfect pause before the rhythm continues. In the heart of the settlement, a wooden tower is built, and a clock is installed for the first time. Its pendulum swings steadily, marking hours, reminding settlers of rhythm and routine. Children watch fascinated, elders smile with quiet satisfaction. The clock becomes more than a tool, it is structure, continuity, and a gentle reminder that time is measured not only by the sun or seasons, but by shared human order. Life feels both disciplined and connected. Heavy rains fall for days, rivers swelling beyond their banks. The bridges creak under pressure, and settlers rush to reinforce them with logs and ropes. Water rages below, yet teamwork prevails. Families work late into the night, lanterns swaying in wind, muscles aching. When morning comes, the bridges hold. The valley has faced danger and survived. Each crossing now feels safer, each structure stronger, each heart steadier, knowing effort and cooperation can withstand nature's fury. Fields of grain golden and heavy, families begin to prepare for the annual harvest festival. Children weave flower crowns, women knead dough, men mend tools for competitions. Music and laughter echo as decorations are hung. The festival is both celebration and ritual, acknowledging toil and reward. Nights grow short with activity, yet joy outweighs fatigue. Each year, this ritual deepens bonds, reminding all that the fruits of labor are sweeter when shared in community. A skilled carpenter works tirelessly, building new cabins, repairing barns, and crafting furniture. His hands are rough but precise, his mind alert to detail. Neighbors bring timber, materials scarce and precious, yet through teamwork and skill, structures rise. The carpenter's work becomes legacy, shaping not only homes but stability, comfort, and the valley's identity. Every beam and joint carries both sweat and hope, reinforcing that survival is interwoven with creation. Families organize a messenger network, children and adults taking turns riding to neighboring settlements to deliver news, letters, and supplies. The system is slow at first, prone to errors, yet gradually becomes reliable. Connections deepen, information flows, and the valley feels more secure, less isolated. The network becomes a lifeline, reinforcing trust, planning, and shared responsibility. Even in vast wilderness, human ingenuity keeps the community linked. As snow falls thick and temperatures drop, families gather around fires, sharing stories and food. The night stretches long, quiet outside, yet warm and full within cabins. Children fall asleep on laps or benches, lulled by crackling fire and gentle voices. Despite cold and isolation, the valley feels united. Survival is easier with company, and long winter nights become an opportunity for connection, reflection, and subtle joy amidst hardship. The Women's Weaving Guild organizes a small market, displaying cloth, blankets, and clothing. Settlers buy, trade, and admire handiwork. Skill and artistry are celebrated, bringing pride and economic benefit. Children observe patterns, colors, and the care in each stitch. The market becomes tradition, a gentle reminder that craft and cooperation bring both beauty and sustenance, softening the harshness of frontier life with creativity and commerce. A group of settlers ventures into nearby hills to scout new land and gather resources. The trail is steep, rocky, and demanding, yet each step reveals vistas breathtaking in scope. They pause to admire rivers winding below, forests thick and alive, the valley they call home stretching in distance. The hike strengthens both body and bonds, reminding them that discovery carries challenge, but also awe, and that the land is as much teacher as it is provider. One morning, the cattle fall ill unexpectedly, threatening livelihoods. Families gather quickly, tending the animals with herbs, careful observation, and shared effort. Panic is tempered by experience. Slow, deliberate care prevents disaster. In a week, most recover. The incident reminds settlers that survival extends beyond humans. Livestock are lifelines. Responsibility, attentiveness, and patience are crucial in every aspect of frontier life, lessons learned through necessity. As night falls, settlers light lanterns along streets, paths, and bridges. The soft glow illuminates cabins and barns, creating a sense of security and warmth. Children run between lights, shadows dancing, while adults pause to admire the glow. The valley, once dark and wild at night, now breathes gentle light. Lanterns are more than illumination. They are symbols of order, care, and human presence in vast, untamed land. Books and scrolls are gathered into a small building dedicated to learning. Settlers come to read, write, and exchange knowledge. Children explore stories of faraway lands. Adults study skills and history. The library becomes a hub of quiet reflection, a place where imagination and intellect thrive alongside labor and survival. In its walls, The valley stores both memory and aspiration, ensuring that knowledge will guide future generations. Snow melts, rivers swell, and the valley transforms once again. Mud clings to boots, but flowers peek through soil. Families venture out to plant, repair, and prepare. Wildlife returns, streams teem with life, and the air carries freshness and possibility. The thaw symbolizes renewal, a reminder that cycles continue, hardships end, and perseverance brings new opportunity. Nature's rhythm becomes a comforting companion to human endeavor. Once more, a merchant arrives, bringing spices, fabrics, and small luxuries. Children press faces against wagon sides, marveling at colors and textures. Adults trade goods, sharing stories of distant places. The merchant brings both material and emotional enrichment, a window to worlds beyond. Settlers gain perspective, inspiration, and delight, realizing that even in isolation, connection to the wider world is possible. The church grows taller, a bell tower constructed to call settlers together. Logs are hoisted, beams joined, carpenters careful to secure each piece. When finally installed, the bell tolls for the first time, echoing across fields and hills. The sound marks celebration, warning, and gathering. It is both practical and symbolic, a reminder that faith, order, and shared ritual bind the community together, a steady presence amid change and challenge. Children and adults gather to watch a play performed by local families. Makeshift stage, simple costumes, and earnest acting charm the audience. Laughter, applause, and shared entertainment fill the valley. Performance brings culture into everyday life, fostering creativity and connection. Even modest theatrics become a celebration of imagination, reinforcing that art, humor, and storytelling thrive alongside work and survival. At dawn, mist rises from fields and riverbeds, softening the valley. Settlers move quietly, tending animals, checking crops, and beginning daily chores. The world feels hushed, intimate, and fragile. Mist conceals and reveals, offering beauty and caution simultaneously. Walking through it, families feel the balance of vulnerability and care, learning to move deliberately, respectfully, and with awareness in a world both gentle and wild. Births, recoveries, and successes accumulate. Families gather to mark these occasions with simple feasts, music, and gratitude. Children run between adults, laughter lifting into sky. Each celebration strengthens bonds, passing stories, skills, and joy from generation to generation. Milestones become markers of resilience, endurance, and hope, a quiet testimony that even in hardship, life thrives and grows. One afternoon, a child falls into a swollen river. Quick-thinking neighbors act, ropes thrown, hands grasped, courage summoned. The child emerges, shaken but safe, thanks to collective effort. Gratitude flows, hearts pound, and the valley witnesses firsthand that survival is often communal, courage multiplied when shared. The rescue becomes legend, retold beside fires, reinforcing both vigilance and the power of cooperation. Years after planting, the orchard finally bears fruit. Settlers pick apples carefully, stacking baskets high. Children taste first, faces sticky and smiling. Families preserve fruit with sugar or cold storage, sharing with neighbors and passing along seeds. The harvest symbolizes patience, care, and reward, a tangible proof that the valley yields not only survival, but nourishment, sweetness, and pride in labor well done. As sun dips below distant hills, the valley glows golden. Smoke rises from chimneys, children play, livestock graze quietly. Settlers pause, reflecting on years of toil, challenges overcome, and lives nurtured. The wilderness still surrounds them, vast and imposing, yet tamed gently through effort and community. Night approaches, yet warmth lingers. The valley is home, history, and hope entwined, proof that perseverance, courage, and care shape both land and life. Settlers gather in the town hall for the first official meeting. Voices are careful, opinions tentative. Leaders are chosen, tasks assigned, rules agreed upon. The meeting is long, yet constructive. Everyone participates, learning the importance of cooperation and discussion. Decisions shape the valley's future, from food distribution to road maintenance. The meeting solidifies trust, a reminder that governance, however small, is essential for order and survival in the ever-changing frontier. Migratory birds return to the valley, filling trees with song and movement. Children run outside, pointing to colors and chirps, while adults pause from chores to listen. Birds signal renewal, the rhythm of seasons, and the promise of abundance. Settlers watch carefully, knowing the land is alive, and attentive observation aids farming and hunting. Nature's small wonders teach patience and joy, subtle companions to the labor and routine of valley life. The old watermill creaks under constant use, and settlers work together to repair its wheel and gears. Timber is replaced, mechanisms oiled, water channels cleared. Work is hard, but collaborative effort makes it manageable. By nightfall, grain grinds smoothly again, providing sustenance to the valley. The mill becomes not just machinery, but a symbol of endurance, ingenuity, and the balance between nature and human labor. A small post office opens, letters arriving from distant relatives, cities, and towns. Settlers gather to read, share, and respond. News, advice, and affection travel through paper, bridging gaps that horseback and wagons cannot cover quickly. The post office is a lifeline, creating connection, continuity, and comfort. In isolation, even small letters carry great emotional weight, reminding everyone they are part of a wider world. Thunder rolls across distant hills, and lightning streaks the sky. Rain falls in torrents, rivers swell, and the wind shakes cabins. Inside, families sit near fires, listening to nature's fury. Windows rattle, animals whinny, yet preparation and calm carry the day. Settlers know storms are both threat and rhythm, and their ability to endure strengthens character. Once the storm passes, the air smells clean, the valley glistens, and gratitude quietly fills hearts. Parents, elders, and skilled workers teach children practical skills: farming, weaving, blacksmithing, and horse care. Lessons are patient and repeated, with hands-on practice. Children stumble, learn, and improve, laughter often breaking tension. Knowledge passes slowly, deliberately, ensuring survival and competence. This teaching is not only preparation but inheritance, a bridge connecting generations and grounding the valley's future in resilience and wisdom. Settlers climb a nearby ridge to observe the valley under moonlight. Stars shimmer brightly, rivers reflect silver, and cabins glow warmly below. Silence blankets the land, punctuated by distant animal calls. Standing together, the community feels small yet connected. Night reminds them of the vastness beyond, the wilderness they respect, and the safety they cultivate. Reflections in moonlight strengthen bonds, giving quiet reassurance that effort and unity carry them through each day. A small bakery opens, filling the air with scent of fresh bread, pies, and biscuits. Families queue patiently, savoring the simple pleasure of baked goods. For children, it is delight. For adults, nourishment and comfort. Baking becomes a daily ritual, marking time, reinforcing community, and offering small indulgence amidst labor. The bakery is more than food. It is joy made tangible, a gentle thread of routine and warmth in the valley's daily life. One morning, settlers spot a lone wolf near the outskirts. Caution rises, but fear is tempered by understanding. Hunters observe quietly, deciding when and how to act. The wolf, fierce yet graceful, disappears into the forest. Settlers reflect on their coexistence with wildlife, learning respect, vigilance, and humility. Nature remains powerful and unpredictable, yet human skill and awareness ensure balance and safety. The wolf becomes story, lesson, and symbol. The valley's main bridge creaks again under heavy load. Settlers reinforce it with beams, ropes, and careful teamwork. Horses, wagons, and people cross one at a time, each step measured. The bridge is more than wood. It is lifeline connecting fields, cabins, and neighbors. Daily crossings become quiet practice in patience, coordination, and mindfulness, a reminder that every small act of care preserves life in a wilderness shaped by both danger and beauty. Families decide to plant a shared garden near the town center. Children plant seeds, adults till soil, and water is carried from the river in buckets. Flowers, vegetables, and herbs grow side by side. The garden provides food, teaching patience and cooperation. It also fosters community spirit, as neighbors share tips, celebrate growth, and harvest together. Green shoots rising from soil bring hope and tangible reward, reinforcing the valley's dependence on both nature and unity. A traveling storyteller comes, setting up near the town square. Settlers gather, enchanted by tales of distant lands, clever tricks, and heroic deeds. Children listen wide-eyed, adults smile knowingly. Even though stories are exaggerated, they offer lessons, amusement, and connection. The storyteller's visit becomes a ritual, a gentle reminder that imagination, narrative, and reflection are as vital as toil and survival in the valley. Families hang lanterns along streets and cabins, celebrating both harvest and togetherness. Children run between lights, faces glowing with excitement. Music, food, and laughter fill the air. The festival strengthens bonds, encourages creativity, and transforms the valley into a place of beauty and warmth. Light becomes more than illumination. It symbolizes hope, community, and resilience, even in the heart of wilderness and challenge. Fields are plowed, seeds sown, and irrigation channels cleared. Children assist, learning the rhythm of labor, the patience of growth, and the satisfaction of contributing. Parents guide, neighbors cooperate, and the valley hums with purpose. Planting is both work and ritual, a promise for future harvests, a lesson in diligence, and a reminder that survival is crafted through steady effort, skill, and care. The valley's shepherd brings flocks back from distant pastures. Sheep bleat softly, dogs herd carefully, and settlers greet the return with relief. Wool is sheared, milk collected, and life continues. The shepherd's role is vital, blending labor, observation, and patience. Their rhythm of walking, watching, and tending provides both food and income, a living lesson in harmony with animals and land. Rain pours without warning, drenching fields, livestock, and settlers. Families scramble to secure barns, cover supplies, and guide animals to safety. Children huddle indoors, eyes wide with fascination and fear. The storm rages, then fades, leaving refreshed earth, puddles, and cool air. Settlers reflect on nature's unpredictability, reinforced in their preparedness, resilience, and communal effort. Every storm strengthens awareness and unity. A small apothecary opens, stocked with herbs, tinctures, and remedies. Settlers learn how to treat minor illnesses, injuries, and ailments. Knowledge is shared, hands guided, and traditions passed down. The apothecary becomes both a practical and symbolic addition, emphasizing care, preparation, and understanding of both body and environment. Its presence brings reassurance and hope amidst uncertainty and challenge. Under the full glow of the harvest moon, settlers pause to admire fields, orchards, and cabins bathed in silver light. Shadows stretch, and gentle breezes carry scents of earth, grain, and animals. Reflection brings gratitude for work completed, growth achieved, and lives nurtured. Night reminds all of cycles, patience, and continuity. The moon casts calm, quiet, and a sense of wonder, teaching that even amidst toil, there is beauty to observe and cherish. Children are taught to handle bows carefully, aiming at targets under watchful eyes. Hands shake, arrows miss, but guidance, patience, and repeated practice turn mistakes into skill. Archery is not only recreation, it is preparation, building confidence, coordination, and awareness. Each successful shot brings pride, laughter, and subtle lessons in persistence, focus, and mastery, skills essential for life in the valley. Settlers gather near the river as evening falls. Water flows quietly, reflecting orange and pink skies. Children skip stones, couples rest on banks, and neighbors chat softly. The calm contrasts past floods and storms, reminding all of the valley's changing moods. Reflection and serenity fill hearts, preparing them for night, rest, and the challenges to come. The river teaches patience, continuity, and the quiet rewards of observation and care. Before sunrise, the valley is blanketed in soft mist. The world feels hushed, delicate, and secretive. Settlers rise quietly, stretching limbs, checking animals, and preparing for the day. The mist softens sound and vision, creating a sense of calm and introspection. Every step feels deliberate, every movement mindful. Nature's subtle beauty reminds all that even in a harsh frontier, quiet moments of wonder exist, nourishing spirit alongside survival. Children gather for lessons, reading, arithmetic, and practical skills. Teachers patiently guide, correcting mistakes and celebrating small successes. The rhythm of learning parallels the rhythm of the valley, gradual, steady, deliberate. Each child grows with awareness, curiosity, and competence, learning to navigate both community life and the challenges of the wilderness. Patience and repetition build resilience as surely as physical labor shapes bodies. Settlers walk along property lines, repairing fences, tying posts, and stretching wire. Livestock is guided carefully to avoid accidents. Though repetitive, the work is meditative, hands busy, minds attentive, bodies moving with purpose. Fences are protection, boundary, and structure, a small order imposed on the untamed land. Labor becomes ritual, quietly reinforcing discipline, responsibility, and connection to both land and community. Sunlight filters through blossoms and leaves as families gather in the orchard. Children chase each other, adults prune branches and harvest fruit. Bees hum, birds flit between trees, and the air carries fragrance and warmth. Work and leisure blend seamlessly, each action both functional and restorative. The orchard is a living symbol of patience, care, and reward, a space where effort transforms into nourishment, beauty, and quiet joy. As autumn deepens, settlers gather wood, preserve food, and mend clothing. Winter is anticipated with careful planning, storage, and shared labor. Children help carry bundles, neighbors exchange tips, and cooperation ensures survival. Each task is deliberate, measured, and purposeful. The valley hums with preparation, awareness, and unity. Lessons learned through previous seasons guide actions, fostering confidence and quiet assurance that the community can endure. A rider arrives from a distant settlement, bringing letters, supplies, and stories. Settlers gather to listen, exchanging news and learning of events beyond the valley. The rider's arrival is both excitement and reassurance, connecting the community to the wider world. Even brief visits carry significance, reminding all that relationships, communication, and knowledge are essential lifelines in the vast frontier. As darkness falls, families gather near hearths. Flames flicker, shadows dance, and conversation flows gently. Stories are told, work plans reviewed, and children drift toward sleep. Firelight brings warmth, comfort, and security. Settlers reflect quietly on the day's efforts, challenges overcome, and small triumphs achieved. The rhythm of evening offers rest, reflection, and renewal, preparing minds and bodies for another day in the valley. A few settlers walk slowly along the riverbank, the water smooth and reflective. Sounds are soft, birdsong, rustling leaves, distant livestock. The gentle movement of the river mirrors the rhythm of life in the valley, steady, patient, and enduring. Walking becomes meditation, attention focused on details often overlooked. The experience reinforces connection to land, self, and community, cultivating calm, awareness, and gratitude. Darkness falls completely, and the valley grows quiet. Stars scatter across the sky, winds sigh through trees, and animals rest. Cabins glow softly from interior fires, signaling warmth, life, and safety. Settlers settle into beds, muscles aching from the day but hearts content with accomplishment and care. The vast wilderness surrounds them, yet the valley feels secure, alive, and connected. Night is restorative, a quiet pause before the inevitable rhythm of morning. Morning light gently illuminates the valley, softening hills, streams, and cabins. Settlers awaken slowly, stretching, tending animals, and sipping warm coffee. Birds sing, rivers shimmer, and the air carries freshness and possibility. The valley, once wild and untamed, stands as a testament to human perseverance, resilience, and unity. Every challenge met, every storm weathered, every life nurtured culminates in this quiet dawn. The story closes not with drama, but with peace, a serene reminder that survival, community, and patience shape both land and life. The valley breathes, alive and enduring, as a gentle lullaby for all who listen.